It's Power Hour LSU.
PHL, extra little bit of swag, an extra little bit of taste.
Yeah. Man, I'm headed to the field. Yeah. Terror of the tiger, I'ma always keep it real. Everything gon' get devoured, it's the power. LSU with Carter, it's the power. LSU with Carter, man, I'm headed to the field. Terror of the tiger, I'ma always keep it real. Everything gon' get devoured, it's the power. LSU with Carter, it's the power. LSU with Carter, man, I'm headed.
You try and get out, but you keep bringing me back in. John Emery, the Friday news dump of the century. You know we don't go live on Fridays. We normally don't go live on Saturdays. But on this Holy Sunday, we celebrate what should be a very good story. But is it? John Emery coming back for year number 6. It is freaking donkulous how often we have talked about John Emery on this channel. I would venture off to say he has arguably been the most talked about running back, period, on this channel because of all the drama. But coming off the injury, can he still be productive for LSU? The answer to that is yes. But is this a good thing? If you're watching this via YouTube down the road, please give me a Y or N in the comment section. Give me a Y or N in the chat. Yes or no? Is this a good thing for LSU? I would say yes, but not quite for the reason that you think. So, oftentimes, it is a weird life that we live in the recruiting circles of who is more important to the equation, who needs who more, right? Let's take someone like Decorian Moore, who we'll talk about here. He's a 5-star receiver. There is no team that absolutely needs Decorian Moore, but everybody wants them, right? If that makes sense. We don't know what he can do just yet. The opposite is true for John Emery. Who needs who more? Does LSU need John Emery at this point? Maybe. But who out there really would want John Emery coming off this injury that he had? And he's not really had a productive year at LSU. He's never had over 400 yards rushing in a season at LSU. And 400 yards rushing, you have 12 games a season. That comes out to what? 30 yards per game. He's never done that. He has had struggles to stay healthy even outside of the ACL situation here. And then obviously the academic stuff, I've talked about it plenty of times. I was not the best student at LSU. So there's always just been this what if with John Emery. I also do think that his 5-star recruiting ranking was a bit of a misevaluation. I think he was more of, now looking back on things, he's probably closer to a 4-star level talent. Think of the way Jacoby Stevens was a 5-star recruit. Was Jacoby Stevens a really good football player for LSU? Yes. Was he a 5-star producer for LSU? Probably not. He was like a top 400 4-star producer, if that makes sense. Overall, he's probably closer to that level of talent. He's probably a Nicholas Brissett type of player. He can go out there and give you some really good production. But is he Leonard Fournette special? Obviously, nobody is. But is he Caleb Jackson level special? Probably not. But I do think he's good. I really do think so. And the irony of John Emery's career up to this point is a play where he had probably his most impressive run, at least since his freshman year versus Arkansas, where he juked a Florida guy out of his shoes. that run was so impressive that not even his own body could withstand it. Like, that was one of the nastiest jukes I have ever seen. So big freaking shout out to John Emery coming back to LSU. I think it is a positive. I do. This is truly now or never. I know we have said this the last 3 off seasons about John, but this is truly now or never for John Emery. Okay. And he's really got to go out there and produce. Now, there are some concerns. The injury did happen late in the season versus Florida, and that does take a little bit longer to recover, but he's still on the younger end. One of the beauties of being a college football fan is you don't get to see your favorite players become washed up. It's impossible at the collegiate level for that to happen. Impossible. Unless you're Brandon Whedon. It's impossible. It is a sad thing to watch some of your favorite Saints players become washed, whoever it may be. Mark Ingram, it doesn't matter. And running backs wither quicker than others. And I'm not saying that some aren't more injury prone or there aren't some players that lose some burst after an injury. It's just a lot easier to overcome those things if you are younger. I will tell you this. The biggest reason why John Emery is an addition is because he's a warm body. LSU needed somebody. They just did. I don't know how many more times you would have heard me say LSU needed to go get another running back from the transfer portal. And technically they did, but in reality they didn't. They just got John Emery to come back. But he did technically come back from the transfer portal. So they did get another person who knows the system, has a great relationship with the offensive line. He knows what to do. And that is a major W in the eyes for me. It could have been any running back. We needed somebody else. Now, once again, what is John's timetable for return? We really don't know. But we know that he's solid. We know you can trust him to go out there to make a very special play in a big game. His biggest, we really needed him game was the Auburn game in 2022. He also had some big plays, touchdowns in both of our last home games versus Alabama. We get Alabama at home again this year, so that's exciting. But man, it is very, very, very nice to have another running back. Okay, so I'm really, really pumped up about that. Okay, so look, you might not think John Emery is the best thing ever. You might think he has not lived up to his 5-star reputation. Guess what? I would agree with you on both of those things. And I understand it's been a very frustrating road here for John. But this is a year 6 experienced guy. And in collegiate athletics, where your brain really doesn't start developing until you're the 25, your body really is still not really hit the prime of your athletic career, age matters. It really does matter. Experience does matter. And John Emery, along with Josh Williams, are 2 championship running backs that have national championship rings from the 2019 LSU team that will be on the roster next year. So that should be something that excites you. So I'm all in on John coming back. And we'll see how the rehab and everything goes up to this point. Okay. Now, I will tell you this. LSU still needs Caleb Jackson to take that leap into superstardom. They still need Caden Durham to be Caden Durham. I think with Josh Williams, you have a known quality in what he's going to bring to this offense. So we take a look at the poll question. Outside of Caleb Jackson, which running back will lead the Tigers in rushing yards next year? 25% of you say John Emery, Josh Williams 46%, Trey Holly 4%, Caden Durham 25%. There you go. Now, first $20 super chatter will get a John Emery card in the mail. I do have quite a few of his autographs. I don't have any of them out right now. But if you don't want John Emery, How about another former number 4, even though he's wearing number 18 here, Caleb on Chason. I don't know what John Emery's jersey number is going to be. That's a good question from Go Hard or Go Home. We say hi to Leonard. We say hi to Billy. We say hi to George. Welcome. Yeah, we've been doing some live streams a little bit earlier because 8:15 is late for our East Coasters, especially not during football season. Now, we say hi to Sean, Mick, a lot of PHL legends in here. Skipper, got our Notre Dame fans in here. Chance. We'll also tell you this about John. All right. Sibley, we had a great conversation earlier today via textile message. I am of the belief that Caden Durham will be the second leading rusher behind Caleb Jackson. I think it'll be a mix. I think Josh Williams will end up playing more. But I truly do believe there's going to be a game or two where Caden Durham just has these cartoonish numbers. I think he'll have, I'm putting at least one 100-yard game for Caden Durham next year, maybe 2. All right, he's got some elite home run hitting ability. Now, I say out of Clifton, who helped me out earlier today. Y'all, I am starting an NCAA football gaming channel. This took some investment. A few of you asked me to do some college football NCAA content. I don't know if I'm going to do any on this channel, but it's kind of hard to see. I can't really put this down, but that is a all my prep just fell off. That is a PS5 right there in the corner. Had to go do it. One thing I didn't know about a PS5 though is it also plays ESPN. I didn't know it like works like a Fire Stick. That's how much of a boomer I am. But I did get a PS5, and I will be playing the soccer video game. It's not called FIFA anymore. That was a awful surprise for me. And I'll be playing NCAA video, the NCAA video game, and that's it. It's a very expensive investment to do all of it. I will say, I did have a visceral run-in earlier today. A visceral run-in with who I purchased this device from. So you guys remind me, I'm going to tell that story a little bit later. But if you guys have any tips for PS5 usage, or should I even have gotten an Xbox? After today, I'm just keeping this thing here. Should I leave it on? I have it on. I'm playing some stuff. I don't know. But let me know what you guys think. I've never had a TV in here. Yeah, when I'm in here, I'm focusing on you. I don't have anything playing right now. But I also think during college football season, we can do some really cool things and draw some things up on here. So there you go. But yes, now I want to get into Decorian more. This is the big story this weekend. He made a visit, and LSU put a major focus on his visit this weekend. And, there's so much, made about Jamar Chase taking a photo with him. At this point, though, I'm a little, I'm not going to say fatigued. I still want him to go to LSU. I think every one of you still want him to go to LSU. We have spent, so much time and resources into this recruitment. The truth here is I really, and I mean really, would like for our recruiting to stay on top of the world here, right? The 2025 class has a legit shot to being the number 1 overall recruiting class next year. And I feel Decorian Moore would help cement that, or one of the 5 stars. I was able to watch some of the 7-on-7s from earlier in the day and throughout the weekend. I truly do believe in Jamie French as a talent. He's a 5-star receiver. I think of the 5-star receivers are most likely to land player now might be Jamie French. He very well could be. Kalik Lockett is obviously a guy that I like a lot. I don't know our chances with him really, but there was so much focus on Decorian Moore's visit. I really didn't keep up with hardly anything. I saw a few photos, but I am glad that we are back in the fray because I do think he is a very special talent. But then at the same time, I don't think any one wide receiver is ever going to crush LSU. Okay, it's never happened. I thought JoJo Earl was going to be spectacular. It was the best thing that ever happened that he flipped to Alabama. In fact, one of the biggest things to ever happen in LSU history was him flipping to Alabama and us getting Malik Neighbors. So that is not hyperbole. I mean, Malik owns pretty much all the records now. So, I'm never going to just get too worried about the LSU wide receiver room. Last year at this time, or I wouldn't say last year at this time, about 7 or 8 months ago, about a month after the season, I was like, holy crap. When Malik and BTJ are going to be gone, we are going to fall off a cliff. And then Kyron Lacey started to emerge, and I was like, no, Kyron's actually pretty good. And he might not be as good as either one of those two, but he's very, very, very good. Like, he's very freaking good. So, really freaking excited to see his growth. And honestly, wide receiver should be the least of our worries. Now, individual wide receivers is a little bit different, right? We're hoping Shelton Sampson breaks out. We're hoping CJ Daniels lives up to the expectations, and Xavier Thomas, and so on and so on. There's still questions about individual receivers. Did Chris Hilton actually turn the page? What about Aaron Anderson? But as a whole, cream always rises to the top. Is that right? The cream of the crop rises. I don't know. Either way, I'm not going to over worry about that. Okay. Oh, is it Jaime? I don't know. Doug Morrow, the radio announcer as well. Now, next thing. LSU baseball. Lots of transfer portal news. I do feel it is important to point out that a 5-star pitcher has hit the portal in Cam Johnson. Now, it's not recruiting rankings the same in baseball as it is in football or basketball. There obviously is perfect game and all that stuff, but Cam Johnson is a 5-star talent. Based on what I'm hearing about LSU's baseball plan when it comes to recruiting at the pitcher position, there are some good things in the work with Jay Johnson. The ECU pitcher is visiting, and apparently he's pretty good. So that's very interesting. Let's go to Lance. Is that my sister? No, that is not my sister. That is my lovely wife. That's my lovely, lovely, lovely wife. I'll own it down on Facebook. I don't know, I guess we kind of look alike. I guess I've been saying Jamie. I thought it was Jamie French. I know it's Jaime. No, that's not. Yeah, it is Jaime. I've been saying Jamie for the longest. That's my bad. My apologies. Let's go to Sean. That would be great as far as LSU recruiting is concerned. Let's go to Leonard here. Emery is the second most explosive back, only to Caleb Jackson if he's healthy. He gets more touches, and the OC calls running back runs other than inside zone. Emery will be productive. Second most explosive back. Now, I would say Durham is more explosive than him. And I know I haven't seen him play yet, but is John Emery overall an explosive back? Maybe. I don't know if he's ever really had that elite breakaway gear. He's had some explosive runs. Obviously, the Alabama run comes to mind from the 2020 game. But explosiveness, I don't know. It is interesting, though, like how different career paths can be. So in 2019, he was in the same recruiting class as the as Ty Davis Price. He was also in the same recruiting class as Noah Cain. Y'all, Noah Cain is out of eligibility. So, like, this is a special case where John Emery is getting a 6th year of eligibility. And then, you know, he was in the same class, obviously, as TDP. TDP was 3 and done. I mean, Ty Davis Price is coming up on his 3rd season in the NFL. And he was in the same recruiting class. So I really hate it for John. I know he would like to think if he was fully healthy, he would be in the NFL by now. And if all the grades and everything were together, I just think at this point, and I think what he's always been is just a good back. We've seen Emery, not Durham. Every time Durham or Emery has touched the ball, he was a touchdown threat. Yeah, I don't. If you're Caden Durham, yes. Every time Caden Durham touches the ball, he is a legitimate touchdown threat. And once again, that is the high school competition. But John Emery, I don't know if that's really his type of game, right? I'm not sure if he's. So we go through his explosive runs. He had the one at the end of the Arkansas game in 2019 that was ridiculous. He had the one in 2020 versus Alabama that was near perfectly blocked. We got away with the hold on Chase Hines, but it was a good run. Explosive. Then the Auburn game where he was sensational. He was very explosive. And let me see if there's any other games where I was like just blown away with him just blowing by people. I don't know. I think one underrated game for him was the 2022 Tennessee game. I thought he did some really good things in that game, even though the numbers weren't great. John Emery did have the big swing pass touchdown versus Alabama in 2022, but that was wide open. I mean, that was more so the play design. So we have 5 years of sample here and maybe 5-ish like explosive run plays. And look, you can make a lot of different debates. Is it the lack of touches? Is it the offensive fit? What is it? I don't know. But I think he is a very good back. I don't know if I would consider him like home run threat every time he touches a football. And Caden Durham is definitely that. I understand that that's before he ever plays it down here, and he is not the absolute biggest guy. John he's a unit. John's not the biggest guy, but he's a solid 215. So he's prototypical, really good running back build. I just think I honestly think next year Durham's going to be better. I really do think so. But I still go back to the beginning. It is still a major W that John is back on the team. Okay. Let's go to Brian. He said, I saw John Emery in high school versus O.P. Walker when they had Thompson, who played at Mississippi State, I believe, or Virginia. Such a special talent. Yeah. So Leonard says Emery's not enough touches. Yeah, I mean, I think part of the reason why he didn't have a lot of touches is TDP was just better. TDP beat him out of 2019, beat him out of 2020, 2021. John, wasn't available. So, TDP just outplayed him, honestly. And TDP was really good football player. John, up to this point, no 400-yard seasons, but hopefully that changes soon. Or you don't really need him to go 400. Maybe another 350-yard season is just fine if Caleb and Josh are what they are, and Caden is what I think he is. But yeah. But yeah, I'm with you though, Leonard. John does have some explosiveness. I don't know if it's like if I'm considering, if I think you are a home run hitter every time you touch the football, I'm thinking Jeremy Hill. I mean, Jeremy Hill, almost every Jeremy Hill game he played was a home run. He might be the best home run hitting back outside of Leonard that we've had. And even that's a debate. Leonard was probably a little bit more well-rounded. They were not the same type of back at all, but man, Jay Hill had a special, and I understand he's a friend of the channel, but Jay Hill had a special extra gear. For a guy that's wasn't known for his speed, Leonard is the fastest running back I've ever seen at LSU. So Durham might challenge him for fastest running back I've ever seen, outside of course, Trenton Holiday, who's going to beat everybody. But it just depends what you would consider trending. Ooh, Pegasus. Damn. Coming in hot. Pegasus says, my sample size of Harlem Barry has grown. He says if he gains solid weight, Harlem Barry is Christian McCaffrey. Pegasus. My God. My freaking God. Or gal. I don't know. I honestly don't know. But either way, you've been with me. You've been rocking some of the best takes we have ever seen on PHL. But Harlem Barry is Christian McCaffrey? Whew. Man. Now, I won't go into the story because the patrons know the story about Christian McCaffrey. But I had a take about Christian McCaffrey many years ago, and it got me in a lot of trouble. I always thought Christian McCaffrey was so damn special. Always. Like, when I watch him at Stanford, it's like, this guy is going to be one of the best NFL running backs. The dude is transcendently good at football. And obviously, that is translated. Do I think Harlem Barry is that good? Am I willing to go that far with Harlem Barry? I do think I need some extra time on this. I'll give you my answer right after this.
I think joy and happiness and doing things you like is important.
My favorite thing is sports cards. When I'm not on YouTube, I am building my collection. And when I started, I wish there was a sports card strategy show.
He wasn't necessarily going to be a first-round pick before all this Heisman buzz. Now they're talking about him being a top 5 pick.
Paul Hickey and the team at nooffseason.com personally helped build my Jaden Daniels collection, and they're looking to do the same for you. Just check them out on social media or nooffseason.com. I'll say yes. I'm gonna roll with you, Pegasus. Now Harlem Barry is that good because I'm an LSU fan. I'm an eternal optimist. But the objectivity side of me says, I don't know. I don't know. I've always thought Harlem Barry, and it could just be that he's wearing number 25 and he's got a lot of bounce. He always reminded me of LaShawn McCoy. But, in these 7-on-7 kind of settings, that kind of style of running back isn't really shown because, one of the biggest benefits you give with Harlem Barry is he is a tackle slipper. Okay. He is a tackle slipper. But I do love me some Harlem Barry. I do. Now, we both agree, though. The weight is important. Now, I want to share something about my PS5 journey earlier today. And then we'll get back into LSU football. So I got this ad on my app saying, hey, PS5s are down to $399. Okay. As you can see in the offseason, it's a little bit harder for me to swing this. And I'm going to Vegas, but for the USC game. And I'm like, well, I got to get the PS5 to play the game. I'm going to shoot some content, record myself playing the game, post it maybe on here. I'll probably just start a separate channel, but I am super excited about the game. I remember winning a FIFA tournament at the varsity in Baton Rouge many moons ago. I got lucky in the final game, but whatever the case may be, I have not bought a video game system. It's not even FIFA anymore. So I go there and I go to check out. I get the PS5 and it doesn't even take disc. I got the one that doesn't even take disc. I don't know if that was a mistake or not. But I go to check out and they say, no. It's $498 instead of $430, which is what I paid for it. And he was like, no. The deal is only if you order on the app. So my wife was with me. She orders stuff on the app all the time. Occasionally I'll get on her phone and do stuff, but it's all on my card. I was like, okay, just buy it on the app. We buy it on the app. And the PS5 is sitting right there. And they don't give it to us. Because the only way you get the discount is if you pick it up from pickup. So I was like, okay, we'll get in our car and you can see us over there. Then she was like, no. And we're there like 2 p.m. They're like, it won't be ready until 6 p.m. Central. Wait, so you're telling me I probably would have just paid the extra $50 just so I can get it. But I already ordered it on the app. I didn't want to do a refund and then have to pay. And then I have to pay an extra $60. And so they're like, no, come back at 6 p.m. So we have to drive home, then come back later. I guess they have to prepare it. I've never understood that. Just do something simple. Just hand it to you. I just paid for it. But that's my rant for the day. Well, we're so app focused, we're so pickup focused. I did the extra effort and brought my chubby ass into the store. Bought this thing for half a G, basically. I just want to save $60. But it's on me. Let's go to Leonard. He will get the John Emery card. Congrats, Leonard. I think if I'm healthy, especially for the second half, he's going to be the second most productive back. My last PHL prediction was spot on. What was your last one? You've had plenty on here, Leonard. If I got to find the John Emery card again. And it was a $20 super chat, but I'll just send it to you anyway. Because I'm in a good mood. Well, actually, I was in a bad mood earlier. There's Leonard and the fam. Don't forget. Get your PHO merch today. You want those shirts? You can't have those smiles. But you will look pretty good, each and every one of you. PowerLSU.com/merch. Okay? Check it out. PowerLSU.com/merch. Also, a lot of you have asked, hey, how do I get in contact with you, Cartier? Well, it's simple. Okay? It's honestly very simple. I want to show you this. This is brand new, by the way. You can go to my new website, a part of the nooffseason.com network, cartofthepower.com. It's free, and all my content can be found here. PowerLSU.com/merch. You want to see the Joe Burrow saved the NFL story? It's right there. All part of the nooffseason.com network. Big thanks to Paul Hickey. I'm a proud sports card consultant for the network. nooffseason.com. Jared, thank you so much. Appreciate you, man. Okay. I would like to think that they both would be. Bryce Underwood, probably the more likely scenario. Because he's a quarterback. Quarterbacks tend to early enroll everywhere. Just because there's just more to the position. Oftentimes, it comes down to if you run track or field, or if you play basketball, right? You take a look at Trey Green. Honestly, don't know if he ever got eligible to play basketball, but Trey Green, basketball is a big deal to him. I will always stand true to this. All right. And Jared, thank you so much for your super. I appreciate that. I will always hold true to this. I do not think early enrolling matters. I just don't. I think you can make some cases that it definitely helps. There's quite a few people who say it doesn't hurt, and I would tend to agree with that as well. I just don't know if it really, really matters at all. I would like to think that it does, because you get there early and you're able to learn the playbook quicker and whatever. It just hadn't really moved the needle for any player, or I'll say this: it hasn't hurt any player who late enrolled and became a pretty quick contributor for LSU, right? Especially in this class where there does seem to be quite a few of the later enrollees who have been who have been brought in. It just doesn't seem it's hurt them. Take a complex position like tight end, right? Could you have said Mason Taylor would have gotten off to a faster start as an early enrollee? Maybe, but he was still honestly fine right out of the gate. I think those true freshman struggles would have happened no matter what, with the amount of snaps you have to play as a 3-star true freshman coming in from Florida. So there you go. Now, there's a big debate going on in the chat about, should LSU just give up on Decorian more? Because it's going to be so hard to bring him back from all the other people that are out there. It honestly comes down to how you feel about him on your board. If you truly believe he is the next great thing at wide receiver, then yeah. But I think it's not as simple as just saying, well, I don't want to chase him anymore, or we can go get someone else. I really don't think it's that simple. I think there should be a limit as to how far you're willing to go to getting a high school recruit. I think there are other factors at play with Decorian Moore as well. You know who helped get Bryce Underwood to LSU? Decorian Moore. Has a really good relationship with Bryce Underwood. So take that for what it's worth. I would like to think that it's worth it for Decorian Moore. I will also say, though, like I've said a gazillion times over, LSU has always been fine at wide receiver. And the next thing that I would say is, by and large, this is very hard to track because you just can't go look this up. I will say, though, that a lot of LSU players that have decommitted and gone elsewhere, or we lost out late in the process, a lot of them have flamed out. Are there some that have turned out to be really freaking good needle-moving players? Sure. Pat Surtain is obviously one that immediately flies into the mind. Caden Stearns, another really good defensive back who ended up going to Texas, was a really good player. Jermaine Burton ended up being a really good player with Georgia and Alabama, and he was committed to LSU for quite some time. Sure, there are guys that we thought were going to LSU and we lost out on them, and it turned out to not really be needle movers. And then you have, these guys, like for instance, one guy that LSU spent a good bit of time recruiting was Tristan Lee. Okay, so Tristan Lee, it was an offensive lineman, ended up going to Clemson. And I'm just bringing up some random guy that flamed out in my mind. And there was so much shady stuff going on in that recruitment from the Lee side of things that I won't get back into, but he really didn't end up doing anything, right? So you have to also factor in that there still is like a 50% hit rate on these kinds of things. Now, if there is a superstar that you miss out on, it can hurt you. For instance, let's just say last year's LSU's team had Jacoby Matthews on it. Could he have been a needle-moving difference maker for us? Yes, absolutely. He might have been the difference in the Ole Miss game, knowing how bad the tackling was. Maybe one more tackle of the 30-plus that we missed in that game would have been made by him, and he would have saved the day. I don't know. It's a lot of woulda, coulda, shoulda. So, yeah, I get asked that all the time. Well, Carter, could you imagine if we had Jacoby Matthews in the secondary? And I trust me, I have lost sleep over it. I thought Jacoby Matthews was great. I still remember we were actually in the same target aisle yesterday, my wife and I, where I recorded the Jacoby Matthews commitment video. I thought he was that good, and he's been that good. He's been very good at Texas A&M. But my retort to that would be, is it as much that we missed on him or the 15 other four-star DBs that have come into this program and have done absolutely nothing and would still have eligibility on last year's secondary? Okay. It's ridiculous. Abso-freaking-lutely ridiculous how many we have missed. So, yeah, there are individual misses that hurt you. in the long term. They really, really, really do. But if you are still on your P's and Q's and you're overall doing a good job recruiting, one guy's never going to hurt you. So, with Decorian Moore, our wide receiver recruiting has still been really good. It's still been really, really, really good. Lots of top 100 guys have come in. Let's see. Yeah, Jacoby Matthews was a out-of-body experience in high school. Now, I want to issue a disclaimer, okay? And now, obviously, don't go like knocking on my grandmother's door in New Roads, Louisiana. But this has happened before, okay? Where I get a message from someone after the fact. They see me at a football game or just in Baton Rouge or in a Target in some random city, and they'll message me saying, "Hey, I didn't want to interrupt you. I didn't want to stop you. But no, I saw you in person." I get mad. That stuff infuriates me. I am never, ever above reproach. You can always come say hi. And more often than not, I have something for you. I always got LSU football cards on me. I always got LSU bands on me. And yesterday, this happens. Big shout out to Mitch Como. Go Tigers, who dat? Appreciate you, Mitch. Hooked him up with a PHL band. But look at this, man. I know it's hot, Mitch, but look, he's got every AC setting on. If I gave him a PHL band. That's one hairy arm, Mitch. But guy, he has got. Look, he only wants it blowing in his face. Look at this, y'all. What about your feet, Mitch? Your feet? How many of y'all do just the face setting with the air conditioning? All right. How many of y'all just do the face setting with the air conditioning? Or do you also do the feet? Because look, you could do a combo in the bottom right corner. But it was so hot, Mitch said, just blow it on my face. But shout out to Mitch. But yes, if you ever see me, stop me. I'll be in Baton Rouge and Gonzales this next weekend. Now, I'll be DJing a wedding, so don't come up to me when I'm doing my thing. Well, you can if there's like a lull during a song or whatever. There's normally not, because I'm normally like trying to get through songs as not quick as possible, but you guys know. But yeah, I am always available. I always got cards on me. I always want to share the love of LSU football with others. So I'm looking forward to meeting each and every one of you. I'm going to meet so many of you in Vegas. I am not, but I might be. It's New Roads. We're all related. Oh, man. Oh, man. Wait, so I don't get this, Chance. I've heard this before. You just do air conditioning for face, but for heat, you do the full body. What? Are you saying your feet can't get hot? And in the winter, what are you wearing in the winter? Aren't you normally wearing boots in the winter? What are you wearing? Flip-flops in the winter? I gotta defrost my little pinkies down here. That's so funny. But yeah, Chance, this has always been the most common response. I did a radio segment on this many years ago. And a lot of our responses were this. I just do face for air conditioner, but for the heat, I'm doing a full body. So, there you go. Let's go to S. Young. He said, early enrolling. Okay, so this is a really good retort. He said, early enrolling made the difference on the offensive line with Campbell and Jones. Campbell was an early enrollee and started game one. Jones wasn't and didn't start till mid-season. All right. This is where I'll push back. So, if you remember, the left tackle battle, I believe Anthony Bradford was like the rumored left tackle, but there really wasn't one, right? We were getting off the end, I believe, of the Deculus era. And, you know, we're just kind of waiting for someone to emerge. And Bradford kicking inside kind of made sense. I am not sure if Emery Jones would have beaten out Cam Wire in camp, because Cam was so experienced. He had so many starts. But once again, you can go back and listen to PHL, and you could actually go back to the Patreon. You know, at the time, actually, did we have Patreon? Did I write this at the time? This might have been some other time. I'd have to go back and look. But at the time, I always warned you guys, Cam Wire is really good against group of five or bottom level SEC talent. But if you watched him, when he played the better teams, he struggled. So Cam Wire was probably going to start anyway because he had so many starts. And S. Young, this is also important, they were having Emery Jones at right guard. And then what happened was Anthony Bradford got hurt. Cam Wire wasn't available. So they had to put someone in at right tackle, and they decided to go with Emery Jones, and it worked. Now, let's just say if Emery was early enrolled. Could he have outright won the starter's job at right tackle and been the guy if he had more time? Yeah, you could make the case. But my second retort would be is, did him enrolling late change his talent level to where he wasn't ready to play by game one? And the answer to that is, I don't know. Maybe he didn't have as much time to consume the full playbook by game one. Well, if that's the case, then the starting tight end shouldn't have been Mason Taylor, but it was Mason Taylor, right? And tight end is probably a more complicated playbook than that of an offensive tackle. So if early enrolling was the difference, then why did Mason Taylor start over Cole Taylor in that game? So I just think it's important to just play the right guys regardless if they early enroll or not. But it is a good point, S. Young. I would tend to lean in your direction just a bit, though. It is a really, really good point. But Emery Jones should have been starting from day one. The issue was it's tough to just know if Cam Wire's a guy. And it's also a good point right here by Chance. Just time to get up to speed with the college game is needed for some. All right. It is true that in college practices, you can normally see pretty quickly if guys are going to have some success. My only thing is the game speed actually goes up another notch. And Chance, you know football really well. You know that. Like, that's why I wish there was a spring game of some sort, an actual game, because that actually gets you ready for the speed of everything. We see Boris, he's one of our loyal patrons. He won my football jersey number contest we did on Patreon a few weeks ago. And we go to a super chat here. Thank you so much, Boris. If I get 5 more $10 super chats, I'll give out the Tyrann Matthew photo. I don't know where I put it because I had to put this PS5 together today. Let's go to Boris. What is your wildest ass? I've always loved the phrase wildest ass. Like, are asses wild? I guess so. I guess that is a body part that we would consider to be wild. But wildest ass has always rolled off the tongue well. Guess for the coming football season for the Tigers. Mine is the defense blows all expectations away and crawls into the top 50, and we win a natty. All right. I can't get there, Boris. I just can't. But if I do, and if you're right, then we need to have a serious conversation about recruiting and coaching. Yeah, I mean, there's no other way around it. Our defense has not been good, as many of you know. But national championship, like I have Georgia so far ahead of everyone right now, even though I'm not in love with their wide receiver room like many others. And then Texas is going to be really good next year. And Ohio State's going to be really good next year. I think those 3 elites have kind of separated themselves. But can LSU be that 4th team? Yeah. I mean, they can. Blake Baker is as good as he was as a DC at Missouri. I do think that Missouri defense talent-wise is better than our defense talent-wise. Even though the blue chip ratio wouldn't quite say that. That Missouri defense had a bunch of dudes. I don't know if Blake Baker fully feels comfortable with this personnel because it's impossible in your first year to ever really feel unbelievable about your personnel, especially one coming off such a bad year defensively. I could see it. I could see it. I do think Boris, at this point, LSU is probably going to be one of the more popular picks to be one of the first teams to host a playoff game, which would be pretty freaking legendary if you ask me, if LSU ends up hosting a playoff game. Let me see. Oh, so cool. It could play in the background. Let me see how much this distracts me. This is a reason why I never wanted to have a TV in here. That's still so crazy. That's so wild. Huh? That PS5s now play like actual TV. It's so crazy. I'm turn it off. Let's go to Leonard. Follows up, and Leonard, I saw your message. I'll happily send you that. I'll send you a few extra goodies as well. Yeah, Leonard, I got you. Offense will also help the defense. Fast ball offense puts pressure on the defense. Yeah, I mean, like for the defense to be good, you're going to need multiple players to take massive leaps forward. And oftentimes, we tend to think of players getting better, and a lot of players do get better, but normally a guy is just who you believe he is. Now, there are some LSU players that have taken some massive leaps forward. There are surprising leaps forward, but it's rare. It's rare. Normally, you are just who you are as a player. So hopefully you have at least 2 or 3 guys that takes massive leaps forward. Boris says, my second wild ass guess is Lacey has a first round draft pick vibes coming out of 2024. Yeah, I mean, he does have a really good shot. I would put him at this point. There's 2 guys that are so far ahead of him that it would be really hard for him to leap those 2 guys. And that's Territoria McMillan out of Arizona and Luther Burden out of Missouri. But outside of those 2 guys, it's plausible for him to leap some of the other wide receivers that are around him. Obviously, Trey Harris is definitely one of those guys. He's from Lafayette, and he's with Ole Miss, and he's really damn good. But yeah, I think it's very, very, very doable that he leaps him and finds his way in the first round comfortably. So there you go. But Boris, thank you for your super chat. I really, really appreciate that. Now we go to S. Young. He says Perkins will take a massive leap more than Damon Clark did. That's tough. Their careers are semi-similar, actually. Perkins was far more productive as a true freshman, but if you actually look, Damon Clark was a very explosive sub-package pass rusher in the mold of Harold Perkins. He just wasn't as good and wasn't used as much as Perkins in 2019. Then in 2020, or his year 2, he had to get used to playing more of a traditional linebacker, and he wasn't really all that effective, kind of like Harold Perkins. I think Harold Perkins was better than Damon Clark in his year 2. Then we go to year 3, and obviously Damon Clark almost won and probably should have won the Butkus. So hopefully Harold Perkins does that. If you think he takes a bigger leap, then he'll be a first rounder or he'll win the Butkus, either one. Let's go to Javon Jackson. Really good question. Have you heard anything about Zai's recovery process? That's tough, and that would just be me speculating up to this point. I would lean towards him not fully being ready by week 1. Hopefully I'm wrong on that. But yeah, I've not. I'll be honest though, Joanna, I have not. It's been mostly quiet when it comes to that. Let's go to Gino. He says, losing no more than 2 games per season is the standard moving forward. That's a good point. And it should be the standard. I will say, though, you do need to give Brian Kelly a little bit more grace if we go to a 9-game conference schedule and if we continue to schedule really hard. We have scheduled really hard. The schedule sets up nicely for us, but when the schedule was actually made, it was brutal. It was brutal. Now, USC wasn't USC what they are like now, but still playing USC week 1's tough. And when we schedule UCLA was a good program, and they still are. We'll see what they do, with the first-year coach here. I don't think they're going to be any good, but we'll see. All right, we'll take a few more here, and then I do have to skedaddle. Let's keep the supers flying in, like we always say. In the next 10 to 15, we'll keep it going. I'm going to answer as many questions as we possibly can. If you did not get your question answered, if you super chat, we go straight to it. That's why we've been doing this for years now, folks. I've had several conversations with OSU fans about Moore, and none of them knew about LSU and Hankton. Day and Hartline are the best. The end. Yeah, so I don't know, like, are OSU fans supposed to know who Cortez Hankton is? I don't know. But yeah, Ryan Day and Brian Hartline are probably the best wide receiver recruiters in the country. They have done a really good job. I'll give them credit. They are up there. But I would argue Cortez Hankton is just as good as those guys at recruiting and developing. I would. I'd also say LSU is as good as anyone, if not the best, at recruiting and developing. NFL contracts, LSU probably number 1. But yeah, I give Ohio State their due. What they have done recruiting the wide receiver position is ridiculous. It's been astonishing, really. Jeremiah Smith is going to be really good. But I think Cortez Hankton doesn't need anyone in Ohio State to know who he is. So, and I think it's going to be hard to beat Cortez Hankton having 5 wide receivers selected in the NFL draft last year, which is crazy. Crazy. Say hi to my buddy Nurse Cord. What's up, buddy? Deltona Doug. Best case scenario, could Caleb Jackson be a top 3 running back in the country? That's tough. I think it is better to start with top 3 running back in the SEC before top 3 running back in the country. Man, in the country is a lot. So, is he better than Quinshon Judkins? Probably not. Is he better than Travion Henderson? Probably not. Is he better than Trevor Etienne? Now at Georgia, probably not. Those are just 3 off the top of my head, but he can be better than those guys, yeah, for sure. For sure. Type Y for yes if you're going to Vegas. Type Y for yes. I saw Klatt and Cowherd talking about USC ducking LSU, and it had me wondering, do I think they'll ever have leagues make the schedules instead of the schools? John's going, Nurse Court's going. Can't wait to see. Nurse Court's awesome. Alejandro, underrated. Lady Gaga song. Alejandro. Looking forward to meeting you. First time chatter, Alejandro. Looking forward to meeting you too as well, John. Judkins is at the Ohio State University. Yeah, I think it'd be impossible for them to do that. There's just not enough games and there's too many teams going around. And honestly, Pegasus, there's some benefits of a smaller college football because you can do something like that. But I can go on for hours about college football scheduling. It's really hard to schedule college football games. Really hard. All right, there's a lot that needs to go into recruiting and scheduling a college football schedule. It's hard, but it's uneven, and that's always been my issue. And this goes back to SEC Media Days, and I said this stuff in front of Mike's Live on Radio Row. I was like, man, dude, this schedule format's just not what it needs to be. It stinks, and it is what it is. But the reason why it's still great is college football is so scarce and our playoffs have been so scarce. But now with an expanded playoff, there is this thought process that, well, I think Charlie's going to Vegas. I'm looking forward to it. Meeting Charlie. There's this thought process that with the playoff expanding, there is more reason for you to go out there and schedule tough games. And that is just not true. It is not true. In fact, the opposite is probably true. Two things can be true at once. You can schedule tougher and still make the playoff. But that doesn't mean that scheduling tougher is the optimal strategy to get into the playoff. If there's something about the way college football is set up that you can take away from today, and it's the single most important thing you need to remember about this sport, more important than recruiting, conferences, any of that, avoiding losses will always be more important than gaining wins. Think about that for a second. Let's go to Boris, and we'll get to Nurse Court Super Chat next. Reading the tea leaves, what are going to be the toughest games on the schedule? Best guess on what we know so far. So this is why LSU schedule sets up really well. It's for two major reasons, all right? The first is the two toughest games on paper come after your bye weeks, right? If we were to pick the two best teams on LSU's schedule, I think most of you would say Alabama and Ole Miss. You're getting both of those games off bye weeks and both of those games at home, all right? The only thing that sucks is in the smack dab middle of the season, you have back-to-back bye weeks. But it's a double bye, so it's not as critical and it's not as crucial that these back-to-back bye weeks or these back-to-back road games kill you. Now, we've always shared this stat. It's always been a PHL stat. Rarely has SEC teams ever won back-to-back road games. Alabama was able to do it last year. I think another team was as well that wasn't really all that good. But it's still hard to win SEC back-to-back true road games. And another big W for LSU is the South Carolina game is in the morning. South Carolina game being in the morning, that's one of your 4 true road games on the season. You're not going to have a late night getting back. So this schedule sets up really nicely for LSU. It really does. Your other 3 road games, outside of course, USC, where you'll be getting back late as hell, you got Nicholls next week. And it's still early in the year, so it's not as important. Then you get Oklahoma. Oklahoma plays Alabama the week before they play LSU. There are just so many schedule breaks for LSU. This is still a really tough schedule. Really tough schedule. But there is a lot of things that have broken their way. UCLA, Chip Kelly being fired, them hiring a coach with no experience, probably going to be a disaster. South Carolina, first-year starter, on the road in Tiger Stadium, only game number 3. Ole Miss, you get the bye week before. Ole Miss will not have a bye week before. In fact, it'll be the 6th game of 6 they have played in a row. Arkansas, new offense, new quarterback. Texas A&M, new offense, new coach. Bye week, Alabama, new coach. Florida might not even have a coach. Vanderbilt's Vanderbilt, and Oklahoma, new OC. We'll see how it works out this year. They get a lot of breaks. They really, really, really do. There's no other way around it. Let's go to Nurse Court. It's a really good super chat. Do you think the SEC Conference Championship game is less important now because of the 12-team playoff? Okay. So that's it. This one's kind of complicated, if you ask me. And it's something that I've thought about quite a bit because, well, if you wonder what a loser that does all the time, it's think about schedule format. It's why I think about it all the time in all sports. The NBA Finals is going on right now, and I've always shared how much I love watching the NBA playoffs, but how much I hate the structure of the playoffs. It's the single most important thing in every sport that we have is how do you structure your leagues? And do I think the SEC Conference title game is less important? Yes, because both of the teams every year in Nurse Court that are playing in that game are getting into the playoff every single year. Every single year. Because it is going to be so rare that the SEC title game is between one team that doesn't have one loss or that only has one loss. Actually, I didn't say that smoothly at all. Most SEC championship games are going to feature teams that have less than 2 losses. Most of them. Now, could we get a few 2-loss SEC title teams in the SEC championship game? You betcha. But then that would mean more than likely that only one SEC team would be getting into the 12-team playoff because obviously the 2 teams that qualify for the championship game, it's not an East versus West thing. It's just the 2 best teams. All right? There is no SEC East, no SEC West anymore. More than likely, both teams are getting into the playoff. Now, it does change the seeding. Sometimes losing a conference title game could benefit you because you get to host a first-round playoff game, and that's a big gate that you're going to get. That's a lot of money coming into your city. Like, if you lose an SEC title game, that's more than likely knocking you down in that 5, 6, 7, 8 range where you're hosting a first-round playoff game. That's good for the school. Now, it's not good for you to go win the playoff because you got to play an extra game. But hosting a playoff game is going to make a crap ton of money for your city and your team. Even though it's probably set up to where the playoff gets a good bit of the gate, it's still, you're making a lot of money. So, yeah, it is less important. It is. But it doesn't mean that they're not going to continue to play it because it makes a lot of money. And I think Nurse Court, part of the reason why we didn't go to a 16-team playoff is because of the conference title games. Because they would be utterly, and I did this a while back and I've lost, it's in my pile of research over here. If you look historically, if there would have been a 16-team playoff, pretty much both of the teams playing in the conference title games would have gotten into the playoff regardless of the result. And that includes some really bad Iowa teams that snuck in the conference title games. So, that's the thing. I mean, and this is a good point by Nurse Court again. All right. And I really want you to think about this. All right. That's why I appreciate your super chat. Appreciate your friendship and your football mind. Really think about the teams over the years that have been in that 5-6 seed range. Really think about them. All right. So who was the 5 seed last year? Well, it was Florida State. Okay. Who was the 6 seed last year? It was Georgia. Those are some damn good teams. Those are some damn good teams. So if you're sitting at spot number 4, not only are you not getting to host a first-round playoff game and not getting that gate and all the funsies that goes along with it, you're going to be getting a tough as hell game. The 4 seed, whew, that's tough. That's tough. And right, and it's right. I think Georgia was 5 or whatever. There have been so many strong 5 seeds. So many. All right. When Georgia played TCU, Alabama was the 5 seed. And that was the Alabama team that we beat in Tiger Stadium. So that was Bryce Young, that Will Anderson team. They were loaded, as many of you know. Okay. 2019 LSU. I believe the 5 and the 6 was Georgia. And who else? I don't remember. So the 5 and 6s have been absolute dogs. Really good teams. Really good teams. Okay. So if you're telling me I could host a playoff game and then play the 4 seed in a neutral site, sign me up for the extra game. I would much rather be the 5 than the 4. I know that does not sound right at all. Your goal obviously is to win the tournament. Well, the truth is, for college football teams, the bigger goal is to make more money. And hosting a playoff game, holy, you want to make some money. And guess what? TNT's doing the broadcast. Could you imagine Ernie Johnson and Charles Barkley doing a show? You know, they put Barkley on everything if he's still going to stay with TNT. I really want to be hosting a playoff game in the first year. It's a really good, Nurse Court makes a really good point. All right. That 4 seed is a tough spot. That is a tough spot because you are going to be more than likely getting a brutal 5. You're going to be getting a brutal 5. All right. Because look, you got to also look at it this way. That's why the 4 seed is the worst seed. The 5 seed is going to get to play the 12. And the 12 seed is going to be a group of 5 team. Remember, a group of 5 team gets into every format. So that could be a warm-up game. You know, who was a 12 seed last year? Would have been Liberty. So it would have been Liberty versus Georgia for that 5, or Florida State or whatever. So you get a tune-up ass beaten in Samford. And then a neutral site. That's tough. I'd much rather be the 5 than the 4. All right, we'll take a few more here. Thanks for the late supers coming in. All right, Leonard says the 2 toughest teams are Ole Miss and Texas A&M. I don't know. I did hear from someone. I I respect this take that Connor Weidman is not the best quarterback at Texas A&M. It's at Marcel Reed. Interesting. One minor thing I would say about the schedule now that it's been super chat, and I try my best not to talk too much about the schedule because, as we get closer, it takes up all the oxygen. But Lenoris Sellers is really good. Or at least I think he has the potential to be really good. The South Carolina starting quarterback, very interesting player. And, they've got some dudes. I mean, Nicholas Harbor is still there. The 6'2", 6'3" hybrid tight end who ran a 10-2 100 meter, which is unreal at that size. What's the Texas score? Oh no, it didn't. It hadn't logged me in. Someone give me the Texas score. Or the Tennessee score, excuse me. So a lot of SEC teams. You got UK versus Oregon State. A&M Oregon. I'll just look it up here. Wife and I got sushi last night. Man, sushi is so good, man. I just want college baseball scores. Thank you. All right, so Tennessee's rolling away. Oregon, okay. Florida's going to the College World Series. No. Y'all did not tell me that Florida made it. Jack Consigliere, who checks you in at the hotel, whatever the hell his name is. Concierge is the name I was looking for. Whatever the hell his name is. I don't care. I know I did the hotel reference wrong. Y'all did not tell me. The Florida Gators, who do not buy Jello shots, worst food in the SEC, Gainesville. Worst fans in the SEC, Gainesville. Worst colors. There should be only one blue and orange team, and that's the New York Knicks. That exists. Jack Concierge, the bellhop, is going to the freaking College World Series. What the hell? I saw them losing to Nebraska just a few days ago. They shouldn't even have been in the field, Florida. God, I hope they get to the freaking finals and drop a foul ball, Arkansas style, and lose. I freaking cannot stand that Florida's in it. Cannot stand it. Tag me on socials. Let the world know. Let the world know. They don't buy shit. They're not going to. They are 2 Jello shots maximum. 2. Did Clemson wear blue today? I saw that catch that guy had. It was good. But I'll be honest, I've not had any sour feelings towards LSU baseball not making it. I really haven't. Because I know how lucky you have to be to win in college baseball. You got it's so much luck. And we had the number 1 and number 2 pick in the draft. And you guys saw how much tomfoolery we had to overcome to win the World Series last year. I'm sorry. I can't stand Florida making it. I can't do that, dude. I can't freaking do that. Oh, you made the trip? Okay. We had some other PHLers there. Grant, are you going to Omaha? No, I know what you're saying. How many of y'all watched the UFL this year? I've tried to get into it. I've tried. I want to get into it. I think hmm. Mm-mm-mm. That's weird. The UFL kickers are good. One catch. Is BK done with the portal this offseason? I wouldn't say done. Grant says, I just can't get into the UFL. I watch for former LSU guys, so I'm looking mostly for John Trey highlights. But yeah, it's strange how much brand equity matters in sports. It really, really, really does. Now, I wanted to. I was debating. I was pondering if I was going to release this take out into the masses. I almost did a tweet on this yesterday. But I said I was reading all these Caitlin Clark takes. So she didn't make the Olympic team. And not only should Caitlin Clark have made the Olympic team, I think Angel Reese should have made the Olympic team too. And I understand that they're not at this point in their careers the clear-cut 2 of the 12 best players in the world. But in many ways, they're entertainers along with being athletes. And, I come from a little bit of a different angle here. Like, most entertainment that you watch is not the best entertainment. Taylor Swift is not the best vocalist. She is not the best dancer. She's not probably one of the 100 best vocalists or dancers on the planet. But she sells tickets. You know, obviously it's different. She's a solo artist. It's a team sport or whatever. But she sells tickets. She makes a lot of the people around her a lot of money. She rises everybody. It's crazy. Every city she goes to, they make millions, and tourism and all of that. She raises, it's a rising tide lifts all boats. I can't name all 12 of the players. Like, if I saw the roster, I'd be like, okay, I've seen her here. Chelsea Graves with the Aces, and I know she's hurt and all of that. I know a little bit. And I also know about Arike Agumbawale, who hit the biggest shot in women's college basketball history. She's averaging 26 points per game. She can't make the team. So I understand everyone's got their own political take about it. And obviously there's a lot of different like demographics here and social factors into all of this. I do think, though, eyeballs matter. Caitlin Clark brings the eyeballs. Bottom line. The second biggest star in the sport is Angel Reese. And while she's not close to Caitlin in terms of, viewership, if we're talking about some of the other like cultural metrics that we look at, followers on social media, Met Gala, rap videos, spokesman for sponsorship deals, Angel and Caitlin should have gone to represent our country. But instead, Diana Taurasi, she's got to get her 6th gold medal. Okay. So Pegasus makes a good point. So I've seen this take. So if we're doing it for entertainment, why not bring Juju and Brink? Heck, bring the Cavender twins too. Obviously, the Cavender twins are not of the quality of players as Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. So you know that's a flawed example, right? Like, I think the Cavender twins fall a little bit more under the Livy Dunn umbrella. But yeah, I agree. Have it just be young players like the Olympics initially were. Are you 25 and under? You get to go play in the Olympics. Whatever the case may be. Sure. Do something, because the women's basketball team is 70-3 in the Olympics. Okay. But once again, there are I just wanted to put that out there. I understand that this will come off super biased, because Caitlin Clark at this point in her career is probably, if I were to say, is she one of the 12 best women's basketball players on the planet? That's tough to say. It's really tough to say. Angel Reese has done some really good things as a rookie. She's nowhere close to a finished product either. And I understand that they'll be on the next Olympic team. But, I just think both of them should have made it now. I really do think so. But simply, no, let's not. If Jared wants to give a take, he can. If Jared doesn't want to get political, that's fine. You could text it to me, Jared. We normally talk after live streams anyway. If you just want to share with the Discord, go on ahead. But yeah, as long as your take isn't like just nasty, you could text it to me, Jared. Text it to me. We'll do that. If y'all have a take on this, you want to just message me. I understand it is a volatile topic. Volatile. I just wanted to put out there the Angels should have gone too. Angel should have gone to. But then again, I'm always defending Angel Reese. Y'all want to know the craziest thing? The craziest message I've ever received was when I was getting criticized by a longtime viewer of the show. You might be watching now. Sent me a message and said, Carter, why are you putting Angel down? I was like, what? Like, why are you begging her to come back to LSU? And I got stripped down because I was asking Angel Reese to come back to LSU. I was like, why am I getting criticized for that? I was like, no. It's normally the opposite. It's normally the opposite. I've had all kinds of crazy takes. And I won't share a few of the other ones regarding draft eligibility. But I won't get too much deeper into the Caitlin thing. This is true, Sylvia. I did see this. Pete Maravich's son, who played in LSU, went to glory. Very sad stuff. Very, very sad stuff. Jared says he's like in the Budweiser commercial. And twins. I will not comment on the Cavender twins. I will say we did beat them. You've seen them before, Jared. I'll say that. You might not have seen them, but you've seen them. Yeah, it's tough. And trust me, I there's a lot of us out there that are Angel defenders. It's not easy. It's not easy being us. It's not. All right. It looks like that'll do it for me. Yeah, track and field. Yeah, I saw that briefly. But there you go. Let's go through our top super chatters tonight. Leonard, Jared, Boris, Blanche, Javon, Nurse Court coming in. And I think our top super chatter is going to be Leonard, because Leonard sent me a Venmo because he wants a John Emery card. I might actually have a better one for you. I'll one up that because you're my guy, Leonard. And once again, I thought this was a football stream. Talk a little bit of everything. Towards the end, we talk a little bit of everything. So there you go. When you talk football for an hour, I feel like I am the most LSU football focused of the LSU channels. But there you go. Once again, special thanks to our friends at nooffseason.com. And we will see you. Next live stream will be Tuesday. And we'll see you then. Yeah, I did see that. Cricket blowing up in America. Good stuff. I'll be discussing and chatting in the Patreon. It's Power Hour LSU. Boom. And tonight we are doing chicken enchiladas. Some more WNBA. I actually didn't talk about the WNBA. I talked about Team USA. I spent like 3 minutes on my Angel Reese take, and everyone's like, "Why are you doing this?" Oh man, I don't think you've ever commented before. Slow motion. I do like the name though. Slow motion. Let's go.